Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode at the Warehouse Underground podcast series. This is episode number 14. I'm Ben, the host of the show, and joining me today is Jonathan Brooks. So, Jonathan Brooks is the CEO of a company called Warehouse on Wheels. Now, let me set the stage for this because I've talked about this on the website and online before. If you are a warehouse manager, if you're an ops manager, at some point in your career, if you have not already experienced it, you will, running out of space. So in facilities across America, there is racks that are full. There are pallets that are stored down the aisle. I myself have ran facilities like this, and take it from me, it is nothing but a headache and agitation and pain. Only bad things come from that. So I was very excited when John reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have a solution. I'm the CEO of a company that really can help out in that." And the more I learned about it, the more excited I was to have him on the show. So I don't want to steal asunder too much away from the podcast, but he is offering a great solution to a very common problem that is plaguing the warehouse and distribution industry all the time. Right. So with that, I will go ahead and bring him on the stage. John, man, welcome to the Warehouse Underground, and thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm great, and thanks for having me, man. Love the concept, love the audience that you've put together here, and thanks for the intro commercial. You could be one of our sales guys one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, you don't know this, but I have a little teleprompter that's going in front.
Okay,
I'm just kidding. It's all off the cuff.
checks in the mail.
Yeah. No, so before we get too much into the show and about the nuts and bolts of Warehouse on Wheels and all that and the value that it brings to customers out there, just tell a little bit about your background, what you know, where you came from, and
Sure.
how Warehouse on Wheels came to be, and sort of what's it all about.
Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity. So for me, quite honestly, I was on those front lines. I was overseeing a warehouse operation that involved importing hundreds of containers a year to support retail. And at the height of that operation, we were renting about 150 trailers from a company that's actually my largest competitor in Greater Cincinnati to this day. And I started looking at the economics of that situation. What do you pay for those trailers, and how much am I paying for them? Wow, that's a neat solution. I should probably look into that business. And so
Yeah.
I went on with my career and did a few other things in manufacturing, distribution, but I've always been around the movement of goods and products, the supply chain, if you will, and was always drawn back to the uniqueness of this solution. And so in 2018, I partnered up with a couple of investors and we bought our first business, which was 2 locations and had about 4,000 trailers, Meisler Trailer Rental in Evansville and Memphis. And so that was 2018. Today, we are at 37 locations and over 37,000 trailers. We've been on a pretty wild ride, a pretty blessed ride, providing this exact solution that you described to folks that are running operations and trying to deal with the battle on the front lines.
Yeah. I mean, it's never ending. I mean, I'm networked in with a lot of warehouse managers, obviously, and ops managers, and this is a very common complaint. All right. This is a very common theme. I mean, obviously people care about like labor and performance and
Sure.
equipment and everything, but when people start running out of space, it just gets really bad for them really fast. And so I'm sure that you're seeing the same type thing out there from your customers. And so who is your customer,
Sure.
right? I mean, there are lots of different sizes of fulfillment centers, distribution centers, warehouses all across the country and really international too. I mean, I know some ops going on in Canada and some growth up there. So, who's your customer? I mean, who's your ideal customer that you deal with, and kind of what is the range of who you serve?
Absolutely. So we'll serve the one-off customer, 1 to 5 trailer kind of customers. And then we have customers that are literally renting thousands of trailers from us and have been for decades because we've become
Ooh,
ingrained in their supply
yeah.
chain. So as we go through this conversation, we'll talk about some of the non-just storage solutions that our
Mm.
assets provide. But for us, it's a customer in need. Our customer base right now is about 7,000 customers, and we operate from Montreal, Canada to Monterrey, Mexico, And then as far out west as kind of Denver, Vegas, Phoenix
Yeah.
at this point. So we're generally along the 8 major transportation thoroughfares here in the US, and then supporting all number of businesses from manufacturing to nonprofit to straight up distribution, reverse logistics. Um, if you've got to move product, if you have a supply chain element in which you participate, we can help you.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that because the name of the website obviously is the Warehouse Underground, and so by
Mm.
the primary kind of people out there listening are warehouse managers and ops
Sure.
managers and the whole thing. But I know that there's a lot of facilities out there that uh, they're not necessarily just a distribution center or a
Sure.
fulfillment center like an Amazon. They may be manufacturing that has a warehouse component that is a part of that,
Right.
and the raw mat and the raw materials that goes into that is maybe it's not necessarily warehousing going to a customer like traditional shipping, but
Sure.
raw mat in factories and everything is big. So are you, are you in with them too, like
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
fact? Yeah, I would think that that's a big piece, that's a big
One of
piece
the
of it.
neat solutions we provide is so we have a customer who's a global auto manufacturer, someone that when you heard the name, you would think, okay, those guys kind of have it figured out. They're
Yeah.
world-class manufacturers. And that's a customer where we have about 1,500 trailers in their supply chain. So what we do is we actually support them by holding the reusable packaging they require their tier
Mhm.
one suppliers to use. So as that packaging gets used and comes off the line, if there's any delay in pickup, they use our trailers to store that reusable packaging until the supplier can get back in sync. The
I
other thing
see.
we do is we'll run laps from a parts sorting facility to the just in time line, 200-300 laps a day with these trailers. So you don't need the shiny new over the road leasing guy kind of trailers. You need this application that we provide, which is a safe, dark, and dry trailer ready to go to work, and it's maintained locally. It's supervised locally. So all your folks that are listening, they're that warehouse manager. When they have that need and pick up the phone and call us, they're literally talking to the person who's going to see that the trailer gets delivered to them in their local
Yeah.
market.
Yeah, and I know we had a call before this
Mm.
podcast, as most of my guests do, and I always say, and I'm going to start doing this. I always say that I wish that I would record those calls because
Sure.
there's a ton of value that comes in them too. But we kind of talked about that in that, which was, hey, what it seems like we're hearing from the managers, from the warehouse managers out there, is not necessarily that they are just looking for some trailers.
Sure.
It's we hear their pain and anguish. I mean, they're trying to run operation, and we are a partner that can come in and help that. So are you like how are you positioning yourself? I mean, are you trying to be more of an ops partner that can provide a solution and kind of help and hey, really explain to me what your pain points are and how your operation runs? Or do you say we don't want to get that far in the weeds, we don't want to become that intimate, we just kind of want to have the
Mm.
interchange of trailers back and forth? Where do you see yourself
That's it.
in the market there?
That's a great question, and the way I'll sum it up is, my team and I signed up for Ritz Carlton service at the Hampton Inn price. So we are all about that customer intimate,
Yeah.
that what do you need, when do you need it, how do you need it, where does it fit, kind of thing, and then a reasonable, fair market price. So we're going to take the time to understand what's the issue. Is it the issue of the day? You're trying to avoid tariffs, so maybe you're pre-stocking.
Yep.
Is it you're trying to avoid detention cost because container deliveries were out of sync, and rather than paying, a couple $100 a day for the container, you can rent our trailer for a couple $100 a month, kind of thing. Or hey, I need 10,000 square feet, not 100,000. So you can't get the realtor to take your call because they don't want to deal with it. And upper management isn't really interested in spending time on finding 10,000 square feet. Our trailer provides that solution. So it's
Yeah.
very customized, it's very user centric. Again, when you call us, you're literally talking to the local team that's going to service you. You don't go into a call center. You're talking to the general manager in that market, who I call a
Yep.
local market CEO, who has the ability to hire, fire, buy, and sell all day long and run that as an entrepreneur. So that's where you're going to get that Ritz Carlton service.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, John, I don't know if you see this, but I'd be willing to bet that you do. when you're talking about supply chain, warehousing, purchasing, and the integration between them all, like I'm talking just products.
Sure.
Most companies will try to have some type of SIOP process or sales inventory ops planning, and so
Mhm.
from the customer back to the supplier needs to be well integrated, and so there's a lot of planning that goes on behind that logistics. But sometimes when it comes to the space thing, you the warehouse managers are not they're not you normally looking out ahead like 3 or 4 months ahead to kind of to work and solve that. It's
Sure.
probably more like a week, maybe 2 weeks type
Absolutely.
things. And so are you seeing that? Because I would think that if you have that good response
Mhm.
and that good easy to work with interaction with the warehouse, that they'll just come back to you over and over and over and over again because you solved their pain point, you were
Mhm.
there, and but you don't know when that might be, right? That may be 3 months from now or 5 months from now or 6 months from now. So
Right.
is that do your customers kind of come to you like frantically, like, hey man, I'm out of space now and I need help? Or are they like, hey, 3 months from now, we've got this project and we're gonna need 5 storage trailers on our yard? What do you see in there? Because my gut tells me it's the kind of the 5 alarm fire type thing, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
No,
it's better planning than I do when I'm a manager.
I think it's the vast majority are unplanned. Okay.
Yeah.
We love a plan and we can absolutely mobilize hundreds of trailers with a plan and a timeline, but it's the fast response. That's why I built the model such that the local teams drive all the service.
Mm,
There's nobody dictating to them how they price, how they service. It's just an expectation of this high level, and then they're measured against that. But I'm not telling them how to do it tactically day to day. And so it is those relationships. And you're exactly right. If you looked at our customer churn, we essentially don't lose customers once we win them.
no.
Now, they may flex from 50 trailers to 5 trailers and things
Yep.
like that. But generally speaking, then there's always one of our assets on site. We'll do unique things too for people. If emergencies become the norm, we'll literally park assets at their
Mm,
facility at a reduced or no charge and say, "Look, when you need them, they're already here. So you just call on them and we'll activate them and you'll be in great shape." So it's that sort of customization, that level of customer service, again, that wins hearts and minds and makes repeat customers. And that's what's so critical to us is that long term. We're not worried about the short term. We'll
yeah.
help you put out the fire, and then we want to be your partner long term.
Yeah, and that it's right in the culture statement, right? So
Yeah.
I researched a company and I looked at your culture statement. And I'm like, well, what's this all about? And it is extreme ownership and humanocracy. Make sure I'm
Yeah.
saying that
There you
correctly.
go. Yeah.
Humanocracy, which I
Sure.
absolutely love, right? So you're dealing with humans, and we talked a little bit about this before the show. The warehousing world, the ops world, distribution world does not necessarily have time for razzle dazzle and frou frou type stuff. Like they're
Mhm.
humans, they want solutions, and if you can provide that, you will win them over. So how have you? I mean, what kind of led you to want to develop that type of culture within your company? Was it something that's just innate to you
Mhm.
and that's what you want to instill? Did you kind of get that feedback from your team, or was it, hey, this is kind of the types of people that our customers are, so we want to infuse this
Sure.
humanosity concept all into one? Because I love that. I mean, I it really speaks to me. So I'm going to start using that word actually, if that's okay with you, after the
Hey,
show.
I don't have a patent on this. You go right ahead, Hoss. Yeah, for me, quite honestly, I was a customer. So I kind of understood the pain points and the lack of responsiveness or calling somebody and going into voicemail and having to wait 2 days to get a call back. And even then,
Yeah.
they couldn't give me a quote because then they'd have to run it up the flagpole. And I just didn't want that. And so we focused from day one on building a flat organization, which is where humanocracy comes in. But
Mhm.
really, we talked about extreme ownership, and my story with that goes back to I actually was late to a dinner one night with another private equity firm that I was working with, and the
Okay.
last seat in the place was between these two guys that looked like they were out of central casting for the armed forces. And I thought they're either bodyguards for one of these CEOs or they're the best guys to hang out with. So I sat between them, and it was actually Jocko Willink and Leif
Yeah.
Babbitt, the guys that wrote Extreme Ownership. So this was actually right when the book was being released. I think I saw the first quote unquote presentation of extreme ownership and I was hooked. It just to me is
Yeah.
just a simple language that we use as an organization to understand expectations. They talk about things like commander's intent and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And if you really own it and if you really subscribe to it, it so aligns with that Ritz Carlton service at the Hampton Inn price at the location level. You don't have to run back and ask anybody permission to take care of a customer. Go do it.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of why it became fundamental. I think it's an experience as a customer. And then I think it's what we've done over our history now that has proven that when customers come to us, they don't usually leave because we really do win hearts and minds that way.
Yeah. I mean, I like that because it's clear, right? It's very clear, straightforward. It's not confusing for your GMs out there in the field. And I'm sure that that works its way through to the customer. I'm sure that
Right.
they can feel that and sense that. And then they identify with that. And I think that that contributes to the brand loyalty that you get because that's the industry. And so, but hey, by the way, did Jocko like whip out his milk, his like muscle milk that he
Actually,
drinks?
I don't think Jocko Fuel was even started back then. I know he
Okay.
didn't own Origin at the time, but there's Jocko Goes in my fridge. I'm all in, man. I bought all in. So I've been to Muster, which is their 2 or 3 day thing. I actually sent our entire GM team, which is about 30 people, to an FTX, their field training exercise, which was
Yeah.
amazing. And then I went to the council, which was 3 days up in upstate Washington with Jocko and Leif and the whole team. And so we're drinking the Kool-Aid. When you come to work for us, you get a copy of the book, and the expectation is you're going to read it, and we're going to teach it to you.
So Jocko, man, if you're listening out there, you owe me about 10 grand for this plug that we
Exactly.
just did for you at the warehouse, only at the warehouse underground, Jocko. So no, I won't hold my breath on that check.
Yeah.
Cool. So let me ask you this: like we've alluded to this a little bit, and I said it in the intro that in most cases, right, the most straightforward thing is, hey, we're out of space. We came into our warehouse, we looked in it, we don't want pallets down the aisle anymore because it's a safety and productivity concern. Solve this, right?
Right.
Call up Warehouse on Wheels. But are there other non obvious reasons why people may want to reach out to you and use your services?
Yeah, I think again, I mentioned it, I think in an earlier comment about cost avoidance. So you think about detention fees, things like that. When the supply chain is not working at its optimal level, how do you minimize the cost associated with those inefficiencies? Other folks, quite honestly, have decided that our solution is so much more economical than fixed
Yep.
warehouse space, plus the
Yep.
flexibility, that they actually use us in the production process. I got another great
I can see that.
example. I have a plastics manufacturer, and what they decided to do was because plastic resin prices move so volatile with oil, that they will from time to time kind of be opportunistic in their buy of resins, and then they'll run additional production through the plant so they don't have to change tools over and so forth
Hmm.
because they already have the PO from the customer. It happens to be
Yeah.
like a fast food restaurant, the drinking cups. They'll literally store the unprinted cups on our trailers. And then when the customer calls in and says what they want printed on them, they'll back them up, print them, put them back on our trailers. And then when the customer's 3PL shows up, they'll cross stock them onto the trucks to be delivered to the customer. They've decided that at, call it 4 times less expensive on a per square footage basis than warehouse space, the flexibility to move from 100 trailers to 500 trailers as business demands is so much more valuable than making that investment in that fixed warehouse space. Now,
Yep.
some that listen to that might say, man, that's freaking crazy. Why would you do that? It's something they've done now for almost 2 decades, and they found that it's optimal for their business. So that cost avoidance, that flexibility, even in the normal production cycle, and then as you mentioned, just needing that extra space.
Yeah, and I mean, there's lots of reasons that I've seen. I mean, the Chinese New Year was a big one for a
Yeah.
long time. Everyone surged
Mhm.
ahead of that, but there could be other reasons too. I've seen it where, hey, this is a surge. This is a special one-off type product.
Right.
So we're not going to build a church for Easter Sunday to use the kind of that
Exactly.
analogy, but we still need to have some type plan for this product. And this promo is going to run for a month or 2 months or whatever. Well, we
Right.
don't have room. There you go, right? Like,
Yep.
it seems like a perfect a solution, and then the cost is, like, almost negligible when it comes to that because the alternative is detention or, building a new and you're like, "Why? Man, I'm only running this for or 3 months," so it just gets folded, right in there. So Yeah, man, that's like if I was a poll, and I might do this, I might poll the
Mhm.
operators out there on the website and say, what are the reasons why you run out of space in your facility? I might do that. You just give me a follow-on action item to see
I'm giving
because
you a
there are
to do.
many. Yeah, there are many, and kind of what I'm getting at is that if these are a part of you and your operation, or they will be in the future, and you are a junior manager, or you're not sure what's going on outside the four walls, which
Right.
there are lots of managers out there that are like that. They just try to make do with what they've got. Hey,
Absolutely.
what warehouse on wheels is an easy solution for you,
Right.
and you don't even know, but you reach out to them and boom, here we go. So, um, yeah, like more than you ever wanted to know about what's going on at my own website, but
All
I've
good, man. All good.
might do that. I appreciate that. So let me ask you this question. When we talked about, hey, I'm reaching out to the warehouse managers on site, and they're calling. What are the what do the logistics look like? Like what does it look like, taste like, smell like when somebody calls you? What can they expect? How does the trucks move in and out, and the calls
Mhm.
and the pickup? Like, what is the nuts and bolts of all that look like? What can people expect?
Well, it starts with the fact that a human being's going to answer, and it's going to be a human being in your geography. That's our guys usually service about 150-mile radius of our given locations,
Okay.
and they're going to ask you a couple questions about what you need it for, and try to understand to get you the best solution. So, is it straight up storage? You're going to load a bunch of stuff on it, park it in your yard, and you're good. You're going to load some stuff on it. You need to move it across town. You need a different kind of vintage of trailer for cartage. We call it local haul type stuff. And
Yeah.
so we'll ask you a few questions, get to the bottom of it. We'll quickly turn you around a quote, usually within about 30 minutes. You can make a decision at that point. If you choose to go with us, we got a couple different options. We can deliver it to you and your site, to your yard, to the dock door, wherever you want it. We can pick it up when you're finished with it. Or if you have a carrier that you prefer to use, they can come get it, deliver it to your site. We do offer some spotting services for certain customers if you need that in certain areas, so we can support that as well. But really, it's about finding, okay, that right for you fit on the asset side, and then getting it to you as quickly as possible. And then while you have it, should there be any challenges, guy drives a fork truck through the side of it, puts the blade of the fork truck through it.
It
We can get it.
happens.
We can get it fixed. We're going to be there. It's local folks that are supporting you. It's not waiting days for someone to show up. It's a lot of times when you look at why people choose to go with us, it's that level of service after it goes on rent that's extremely
Yeah.
valuable as well.
Yeah. Now, what about things like, and I speak for managers out there, they're
Mhm.
probably gonna wanna know, well, what about rain? What
Yeah.
about weather? What about
Mhm.
security? I mean, do we need glad locks on there? Is there
Mhm.
any risk of theft? Like, what about things like that? How do you kinda answer those questions and put those fears to rest about the safety and security and the viability of the trailers themselves?
Absolutely. So our trailers are going to show up ready to go to work. So we're doing full blown inspections. We're making sure that they're safe, dark, and dry. You're getting an asset that's ready to go to work when it shows up. From a security standpoint, depending on where you store the trailer, if you store it on your site, then you'll make the judgments about seal locks and security of
Yeah.
the grounds and so forth. In some instances, we actually store the loaded trailers on our lots in various cities, and
Oh,
so we secure them on our lots. We ask the customers to literally secure the trailer itself, the trailer door with seal locks and so forth. But then we're
yeah,
providing a secure place for them to park as well, and that's a big portion of what we offer as
yeah,
well, because nobody ever has enough ground space. Is just like
yeah.
they don't have enough warehouse space. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I've worked at a facility that had a huge yard, just tons of
Mhm.
extra room out there, and you could fit a lot of trailers out there. But you're
Sure,
right. There's a lot of warehouses out there. They just have the parking lot for the people, and that's pretty much it.
right,
So
exactly.
that's a great option for other people out there too, that they could definitely take advantage of. So um, yeah, I love that too. Using your own yard. I'm sure it has a limit though, right? I mean, I'm sure you have capacity, but
There are certain cities where there's capacity, but one of the great things we've done, we've actually had folks approach us just about seasonal parking, and we'll literally go out and source the space for you. So we'll go out, source the space, make the arrangements, line it up with the period that you need it. So, when you think about a mobile storage solution, we believe that that encompasses the need for parking in a lot of instances. So we've built the
Yeah.
skill, the muscle memory to be able to do that for our customers.
Yeah. And I got you on that. Now, shifting gears a little bit, I don't want to talk about competitors, right? Because the show is about warehouse on wheels, but we have
Mhm.
talked a little bit about this and said, hey, John, there are well-known names out there that bring you a container. They store it
Mhm.
on site. They've stored lots of stuff in there, from banker's boxes to office furniture and everything. So,
Sure.
what's the difference between warehouse on wheels and some of those more well-known people that bring out containers and the like?
Mhm.
Like, what's the differentiating factor between the both? Because we know who we're talking about, right?
Sure.
Like we know
Absolutely.
the names out there, but what
Mhm.
what do you have? What say you on that?
So a couple things on the competitor side. First, the container guys. The real limiting factor I see is that they're not dock height. So
Yep.
if you really want to easily move things on and off of those with fork truck and in and out of your facility, more times than not, you're going to want something dock height. And that's what the
Yep.
trailer brings to you. So a multitude of our customers store accounting records. They store obsolete office equipment, office furniture. Some warehouse managers actually store excess racking from when the warehouse got reconfigured because
Love it.
they know how painful it is to fill out the capital request to get new racking. And so they'll literally store the racking on our trailers as well, which is always interesting. So the primary benefit there is going to be the dock height and the mobility. Because once those guys drop off that container, unless you've got the truck to drag it around and get it back up on the bed of the truck to move it, it's there, it's fixed. And then I
Yeah.
think the other competitor side is you'll see the leasing guys sometimes come into our space. So they're guys that are probably already in your facility because your transportation company is leasing trailers from them. It's just not part of what they do. They don't really have the network to do the service and repair work that you're probably going to need on site should someone damage your trailer. They're
Yeah.
generally looking for longer term agreements because they live in a world of 5 and 7 year leases. And so we're providing you a safe, dark, dry, ready to go to work asset that is economically more beneficial. And this is our focus. This is all we do. And it's on a 30-day evergreen contract. So if you're done with it, you send it back to us every 30 days, is kind of how the cycle works. And for a lot of folks too, quite honestly, that's an expense that doesn't require a bunch of approvals. So you don't have the
Yep.
headaches of running
You're
all
right.
that spend up through the corporate ladder to get that approved when you got to sign, multi-month or a year-long type commitments.
Yeah, you're right. It's usually along the same lines as like buying pallets or buying
Exactly.
supplies. It's the same type thing. It's approved at the warehouse manager level. Obviously, if it grows and now you're talking about 75 storage trailers on the yard, okay, that might get the attention of a CFO. But
Right.
even then, if it's approved and it's financially viable, sure, let's do it. So, yeah. So I have there's a show that we released on the Warehouse Underground called the Tiger Team, and
Mhm.
one of the funny things that we were talking about on that show was getting ready for facility walkthroughs before executives come in, and the mad dash that happens before
Yep.
that, and
Clean it up.
yeah, and the cleanup. And so so it makes me think about that, because
Yeah.
it's just like when you clean up your room when you were a kid, you just throw everything on a container, and now it doesn't even have to stay on your yard. There's no way you can't even, you just send it back to you. And I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wheels are turning in my head out there of what I would have used that for if I would have known about this solution back in the day. Because you can't just have it on the yard. What's in there? Ah, damn it.
We
Toss.
got your back, man. We got your back. We'll figure it out.
So let ask this question. So you said, okay, well, some of these other competitors, they're right there on the ground, which I totally agree with what you're saying. Big headache. You can't get forklift in there very good, and
Mhm.
people are big headache, right? So having the actual storage trailer is the way to go. But if it's going to be on and off the dock door, that
Mhm.
requires a yard dog. So
Sure.
is that a limiting factor I mean, obviously, if you have a customer who has a big fulfillment center, distribution center, they're going to have a yard dog. They can move them around, but some of the more one-offs might not. So do you have a solution for customers if they don't have a yard dog? Have you ever done that for them in the past? I mean, it's probably not a main part of your business, but is that in scope? I mean, is that in bounds to say, can you send me a yard dog for a short time and move it? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, so we'll move it for you. And we've
Oh,
got
okay.
customers that maybe they only have a single dock door. They're that small. And so they need to get some stuff loaded in and then they need to get it moved. And maybe their transportation provider can't support that. We'll move it for you with our drivers in certain markets. And then in other markets, we'll make the arrangements for you. We've got all the relationships. We're delivering trailers every day of the week. So we've got those connections and we absolutely will design that to properly fit. In most instances, though, with multiple dock doors, you probably have some sort of transportation provider who could park the trailer, 100 yards away from the dock door or what have you.
Yeah.
But yes, sir, we can absolutely support that.
Yeah, I got you. And so for your customer base out there, I mean, are you how do you find them? I mean, are they coming to you, John, mostly, or are you going to them? Like, just curious, how does that work? I mean,
So
you're
it's
on the
interesting.
podcast, right?
Yeah.
You're on the podcast, so you're reaching them that way. But
It's interesting. During
what's the
COVID,
strategy?
the phone rang off the hook. We
Oh, I
didn't have to
bet.
look very hard because everybody was looking for space and the
Taking
solution that
orders.
we provided. Now, post-COVID, it's much quieter. And so the people that are our customers, yes, they absolutely call us. But part of the reason I'm doing things like this and talking with you is there's a group of folks out there that don't probably think about our solution first when they have
Yep.
these issues. And so we want to make sure that there's not even brand awareness, but just solution awareness.
Yep.
And then from a brand awareness standpoint, what happens is our GMs, our local market CEOs, they're out knocking doors, shaking hands, and kissing babies, meeting folks, because that's really where it matters. Those are the folks that are making the decision. And I laugh when you said, how do you get to them? So it's becoming more and more of a challenge because access
Yeah.
to facilities is insane these days between
Yep.
security guards and just
I know.
getting past a lobby with no one there but a phone and you don't know who to ask for, so you don't know who to call. And so it's pretty impressive what our guys do and how they find their way in. We use a lot of LinkedIn reach and communications. That has its own challenges. It's just like kind of
Yep.
cold calling, it's hard to break through. The great thing we do is when our customers will introduce us. Those warm
Oh yeah.
referrals, that good housekeeping seal of approval, man, that speeds up that process in a hurry. And then the last thing I'll say is our trailers are our best advertisers. Those
Okay.
trailers sitting out in someone's yard that next door warehouse manager drives past every morning on their way in are a reminder that, hey, when I need that, that's the guys I should call. So we're pretty proud of our branding and how we make sure that they show up. I call it
Yeah.
55 and 55. I want them to look good at 55 feet away and 55 miles an hour going down the road. So doesn't have to be brand shiny new, but it needs to look good and represent the brand. And so it's just
Yeah.
this whole ground effort, this grassroots. You got to get after it because we need to be where the people are that are actually doing the work, not the guys sitting in the ivory tower.
Yeah, I love that attention to detail on on the container. I mean, personal story. I have rented storage trailers in the past, not from Warehouse on Wheels because I didn't know about Warehouse on Wheels, which is why I'm happy we're doing this podcast. And they look like trash, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they were just rusty old trailers, eyesore, the whole thing, and they were just awful. And so I remember thinking, what a missed opportunity from this company, because if anyone walks past and they see this, they're just gonna feel this is trash, right?
Right.
Like this is garbage. I don't want to deal with this. But I'm happy that you're, and the warehouse community, just take it from me. So I was former military, I was former Air Force guy, very close knit community. The ops community and warehouse is very similar to that. So that word of mouth and that I'll vouch for them type thing
Right.
is almost 100% of the way there. If you can get that, I mean, it's like a 99% of the way there. So I love that. It's a hard market to penetrate. I think.
Mhm.
Take it from me, who is growing a podcast and a website and everything. But once you do, though, right? Once you get that, the loyalty is there forever, right? Like it stays. It's very firm and ironclad, and that's the payoff, I think, for the community. So
Totally
so
agree.
cool. So, like, where can people find out more
Yeah.
about you? And I know we mentioned the website, which people should go to. It looks really cool and clean. I love the art. But where can people find out more about you and Warehouse on Wheels? And then what's on the horizon? I mean, what do you
Sure.
got coming down the pipe for 2025 and beyond?
Absolutely. So as far as finding us, I would say wowtrailers.com. So WOW trailers.com. When you go to that site, you'll actually see the family of brands that we represent. So we've built this business through about 20 acquisitions, mostly of family businesses. And we're keeping those local brands because we feel like the folks that are listening to this podcast, the folks that take care of business every day, those are the brands they recognize and
Yeah.
appreciate. They have goodwill. And so that's why you won't necessarily see a warehouse on wheels trailer rolling down the road at this point. We believe there's true value in those local brands. And so
I agree.
start there at the website. You can find me on LinkedIn. So Jonathan Brooks, CEO, Warehouse on Wheels. Please hit me up. Let's make a connection. I post pretty regularly. So if you want to hear the musings of, a slow-witted trailer guy, I'll do my best to entertain.
I
One of
do.
my one of my things I think people are starting to like is my Friday playlist check-ins. I haven't gotten too
Okay.
much critique on my music selection. So again, it's not always about work. Let's share some other ideas and some other concepts. So that's probably the best way to reach me.
Yeah, I do care about that stuff. So
Mhm.
I encourage the people out there that are listening, like follow John Warehouse Wheels on LinkedIn because it's just it's just interesting. It's just great to follow and interact and know and learn from interesting people and interesting companies and Warehouse Wheel on Wheels is definitely one of those and John is too. And I just it's great. Like authenticity and that humanosity is becoming more rare and it's more valuable, I think, in 2025 and certainly in this industry too, man. So good on you and good stuff. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of momentum behind Warehouse on Wheels. Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited about it. We've grown to 37 locations, 37,000 trailers. My vision for the business is 100 locations and 100,000 trailers, and we're well on our way. So we got room to grow, but we got a plan. And I tell my investors, I said, we've built a rocket, we've got the flight plan, we just need the rocket fuel, and they've
Yeah.
backed us, and we're having a hell of a time. And our 300 team members, man, I tell you what an engaged group. We actually just did our employee engagement surveys in January, and we had everybody but one employee actually submit their survey. I was
That's
blown
awesome.
away at 99.9%. So that tells you when you call us, when you're looking for a solution, our guys are engaged, they're in the game, they're all
Yeah.
stakeholders. And we know how important it is to just get on to the next thing. So let us help you solve that thing that's right in front of you.
I love it. And I love the red chairs too, by the way.
Oh,
In
thanks,
the
man. That's
in
that actually has been the post that's resonated the most, and that's something I'm really, really proud of because we do have to keep that perspective. Our teammates are always with us in our minds and our hearts.
Yep. Yep. I love that. Well, John, man, thanks very much for coming on the podcast and sharing some insight and spreading the word about Warehouse on Wheels. A great solution out there, great organization. I appreciate it, man. Thank you again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, and I love what you're building. So keep going.
Yeah, you got it. I'm sure we will see each other again on the LinkedIn streets, as we say. That's
These
where
mean LinkedIn streets.
I'm hanging
Thanks.
out on the street corner there. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it. I'll see you around, my friend.
All right, take care.
Take care. All right, guys, that concludes today's episode at the Warehouse Underground. I really mean what I say. I met with John before the show a couple weeks ago. He's the same authentic guy as you just heard, very easy to deal with. I wish that I had known about Warehouse on Wheels a long time ago when I was running ops because it's great. So I encourage you to reach out to him and I hope you do. As the Warehouse Underground goes, please, hey, don't forget, sign up for the community. There is a lot of cool stuff going on inside the community. There's message boards, knowledge share, information share, lots of content that's already in there in a great growing community, over 130 members now and growing every month. So become part of that. Check out our new Tiger Team show, which I'm hoping to have a new one released early next month for episode 3. It's funny. You guys will like it. It's funny, witty humor for people out there in the warehousing world. So check it out. And with that, I will see you next week for episode number 15. Thanks, guys. Take care.